Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to focus on the price breakdown of the M line Brompton. For this breakdown I'm going to highlight everything that I have added. Not everything I have added is essential, and I will give that comparison at the end, but let's start at the very front cockpit of the bike where we started in the reveal video. So the very first upgrade we have is the Ergon GP4 handlebar grips. Again, a very essential upgrade in my opinion for the bike because they are really good. They came at a total of £55 for the bar grips themselves. So we then come down to the MT800 Junction Box A computer. I got this for a total of £62. Moving on to the M8050, which is the right shifter. I got this for a total of £38, and that actually already included the Di2 cable to connect it to Junction Box A, so that was relatively good value. The braking system, the M8000 brakes, I bought them as a bundle off eBay, and I got the lines, I got the brakes, I got the calipers, and I got the discs for £99. So the best upgrade, also happened to be overall one of the cheapest upgrades I managed to get on this bike. Moving down the bike itself, we already know the front forks and the rear triangle together cost us a total of £790, and that is from Kinetics Online, which is a Glasgow based company, and they produce custom Brompton frames and forks. And way more products, of course. Moving down to the front wheel, we'll start, well actually we already know we've covered the caliper and the disc because they were part of the brake package. We will then move on to the M8000 hub, which cost £36. We then have the Halo T2 rims. So for both rims, I spent a total of £96 on the rims. We then have the spokes themselves for each wheel, which came to a total of £39. We did buy two different tyres, so we've got the Kojaks and we've got the Smart Sams. The Smart Sam that's fitted on this mountain bike version at the moment came to a total for both tyres of £48 for both of the tyres there. Inner tubes for them, if I include everything, was £38 for my inner tubes and my spares also. And that itself covers the front wheel. If we move back up the bike, I'm going to quickly sum up all the Di2 cables I have. So as I say, this one came with the shifter. I then had to buy the long one and the two ones at the rear. They cost me a total of £44 for those additional Di2 cables there. Moving down to the cranks themselves cost me a total of £35, and I got the Ultegra pedals for £50 for the Ultegra pedals. I did have to replace the bottom bracket from the original, and the bottom bracket replacement cost was an additional £27 for the bottom bracket. Moving up from the front, again, I've got the telescopic seat post. This cost me an additional £60 for the telescopic seat post. I already had the Physique saddle, but if you were to buy one second hand because I discontinued, you're in the £25 to £30 region for the saddle. We also have the Pentalock clip, which I had to buy. I didn't have to, but a substantial upgrade, which cost £36. We have the rear latch, which had to be well, in my opinion, had to be upgraded to get the latch in the back, which cost another £36. The chain itself was a total of £40 for the chain. Moving to the rear, we've already covered the cost of the tyre, the rim and the spokes and the inner tubes. So the chain tensioner was technically already on the bike, but I had to spend an additional £12 to modify the chain tensioner itself. The motor unit itself was on the pricier part list. This cost me a total of £83 for the motor unit. We then have the 18-tooth single-speed cog at the back, which cost me £13 for the cog. And we have the Alpine hub itself, which cost me a total of £85 for the 11-speed Di2 hub. And the battery module here at the back, so I got the battery and the P-clips. I've included the totals of them together. They cost me a total of £57 for the battery and the clips. The only other part you can't see here is the junction box B. The junction box B, let me have a look what that's cost me. Yeah, the junction box B cost me a total of £25 to get that junction box B. I then put small amounts of money into getting the heat tubing, all the other tubing, which accounted to £14 itself for those little parts. But that should be it. That is everything I can physically see and what should have been added to this bike to make such a special edition here. Now, the rain is starting to come down heavier and heavier and heavier, but I thought it was really important to get this video done. But for my conclusion, price breakdown and where I source my parts, let's head back to the studio and finish up this episode. And finally, we are back here in the studio. I wanted to finish up this video just by highlighting the essential parts that would be required from this build rather than listing everything that I've put on it myself. Okay, so let me break down a list of the essentials you will need to convert your Brompton into an M-Line. You will require the fork and triangle, which we already know comes at a cost of £700. The other parts that I am just about to list have been bought new and second hand, so the prices will vary massively, but obviously if you want to know the new prices, you can easily give them a Google. But running down the list, here we go. So we've got the rims themselves, 2 rims, which I paid £96 for. We've got the spokes, which I spent £39 on. You're going to need a pair of tyres to fit the 20-inch rims, which come at a cost of £48. And the inner tubes in the spare cost me £38 also. We need a rear hub, which I was lucky enough to get for £85, and I'm under no illusion they cost significantly more than that new. The front hub I did buy new and got at a cost of £36. The brakes were probably my biggest saving on the bike because I got the bundle deal of £99. That was phenomenal value, and I was actually prepared to spend up to £250 at least for a used set. We got the motor unit for £83, which was pretty close to its retail. We got the sprocket brand new for £13. We got the battery used for £57. We got the Di2 cables all used and untested. Luckily all of them worked for the cost of £44. We got junction box A, the front computer, for £62. We got junction box B for the routing for £25. We got the right shifter for £38. And to finish it off, we did the chain tensioner mods for £12. Bringing all that into a total for parts, so if we take the frame out, the part cost alone is £775 just for the parts. If we add the cost of the frame and the forks and the triangle, we go to a cost of £1,565 is essentially the base cost I had to pay to do this conversion. Now, if you add everything in total, so from my finishing total, and if we add the cost of the used bike, I spent a total of £2,443 to get this bike. Now, is that good value for money? Well, if you were to put it into a Brompton comparison, you would get a Brompton P-line for slightly cheaper than what I have the M-line for. But is the P-line a better purchase than to maybe make your own mountain line? That's something that only you can decide. For me, myself, I think this bike hits so many boxes. It can go off-road, it can be fast on-road, and I'm pretty sure if I was to compare this to a P-line at pure speed, this would go faster than the P-line, even though it's heavier. Now, will it ever get to do that comparison? Who knows? But I know for myself, I would most likely stick to having the M-line purely because it has so much more flexibility than the P-line would want. If you do know you are only commuting in a city on fairly flat land, the P-line is an absolute no-brainer. But for me personally, the P-line falls in a very funny line of where the Bromptons are, because the C-line and P-line differences, yes, the P-line is definitely more responsive and quicker, but it's really hard to justify that price gap from the C-line. And then when you have the T-line, it's significantly better, but you're going to be significantly out of pocket. Now it's fair to say I have a lot more testing to do on this bike, and if you have any videos you want me to cover, please shoot them down in the comment section, because I already have a massive list, but I really want to get the information you want about this bike to use so I can give you a fair reflection of it. I hope this video has been useful to yourself, and if it has, please consider supporting the channel by any of the means down below, from liking, subscribing, or going to my Buy Me a Coffee page. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you later.